I, male 25, am biracial but pass for white. I have pale skin, B1 dirty blonde hair, and overall, don't look black at all. I've never spoken about being biracial because it never occurred to me that I need to. It's not something I ever think about. However, in the 9th grade, I made a black friend. We'd always been very close, but I never talked about my background or anything because it again didn't occur to me to. So she'd never been over to my house or anything. She was back in town, so I invited her over to catch up. She got along great with my family, but also took me aside and told me she didn't see that coming. I asked her what she meant, and she said she didn't know I was black. I told her I didn't really think to tell her in advance that I'm black, and she said, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to not tell your best friend. I told her that I just don't tell people a lot of things in general, and she said she'd like if I opened up about myself more and that I could trust her. I said once again that I just didn't think to tell anybody. She said goodbye to all of us, and I asked my family who was in the wrong. They all sided with her and said that if I consider her my best friend, I need to tell her these things. Am I the idiot? I'm an INTJ, so I tend to not really talk about myself. I'm not ashamed to be black. I just don't see the point in talking about my genetics to random people. Edit. My brother found this somehow and had this to say. It doesn't matter how am I the idiot feels. They don't know you like we do. You have a big problem with communication, and if everybody in the real world thinks you're in the wrong, it's because you are. Reddit isn't real life. Edit 2. Thank you everybody for your responses. Somebody asked if I have autism. I do. But it's not something I particularly advertise. If my family asked if I had autism, I'd say yes. If my friend asked if I was black, I'd say yes. I can understand her being surprised about my background, since I have absolutely no black features, despite my DNA test saying I'm about 40% African with the rest being white and a smidge of indigenous. Edit 3. My family has asked me to take down this post, and they say they're upset that I didn't tell them I have autism. However, I'm getting very insightful responses, so I'll be keeping this post up. I do agree with the vast majority of comments that I'm not particularly obligated to tell anybody anything about me, no matter how close I feel to them. However, it's not something I do on purpose. I just don't think to tell people things sometimes. Edit 4. I'll be heading out now to catch up on a series I read. Thank you everybody for your judgments. Aside from the weirdo who said I should call everybody the N-word. I'm not sure why that pointless comment is still there. Edit 5 the next night. Thank you everybody who sided with me. I'm glad to know I was right. To those who claim I have a problem with being black, lack empathy, etc., none of those things are true. And no, she had never met my family members until that night, and she had never seen any pictures of them. I have a flip phone and have never used social media, and neither have my relatives, so there aren't really any photos to go around. Even if my friend had asked to see a photo of my family, I'd have literally nothing to show her. As expected, my family and my friend are aware of this post. They want it to be taken down and feel it's a massive violation of trust that I've made a few posts of them here. Nonetheless, they're only listening to the very few comments siding with them. Ultimately, my friend has decided to go no contact with me because she feels she doesn't know anything about me despite sharing a lot about herself. I feel you can't really please everybody, and even if you're a kind person who does everything right, you'll always have somebody who takes issue with you for whatever random reason. I wish her luck in her future endeavors. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. So, this is your best friend in and from 9th grade, yet she's never been to your house, seen a family picture, or met your parents. That seems very strange to me, especially when I consider my best friend from age 14. We couldn't drive, didn't live near each other, so her mom or my parents had to facilitate all outings, sleepovers, etc. 14-year-old girls are notorious for being inseparable, so either you are the most private 14-year-old, have a very difficult home life, hoarding or alcoholic parents, or you are hiding. Definitely. No idiots here, but I am either concerned about you or don't believe you. Comment 2. No idiots here. I don't think you need to announce it, but it's literally the type of thing that would come up in conversation over the years. You think you would have talked about your family. Maybe the cultural differences between one side of the family or the other one, even your experience with being white presenting. It does show that you really didn't open up with that friend. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been a tense couple of weeks since my last post, and boy, do I have an update for you. Remember my friend who went no contact because she felt I wasn't open enough? Well, things escalated, and not in a good way. After she cut me off, I was pretty bummed out. I mean, we'd been friends since 9th grade, and now it was like I didn't even know her. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, and this one hit me right in the feels. So my family, who had been on her side, started to see the strain it was putting on me. My brother, the one who found my post and told me off, actually came around. He said he saw how much it was affecting me and apologized for being harsh. We had a heart-to-heart, and he admitted that he could have been more supportive. It was a moment, you know? But just when I thought things might be looking up, my friend reached out. She said she missed me and suggested we meet up to talk things through. I was hesitant, but I agreed. We met at our old hangout spot, and it was like no time had passed. We laughed, shared stories, and it felt like we were back in high school again. Then, out of nowhere, she dropped a bombshell. She confessed that she had feelings for me, like more than friends' feelings. My jaw hit the floor. I had no idea she felt that way, and I didn't know how to respond. I mean, I care about her a lot, but I never saw her in that light. I told her I needed time to process everything, and she seemed to understand. But inside, I was freaking out. I didn't want to lose her as a friend, but I also didn't want to lead her on. It was a mess. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't focus on anything. My family noticed something was up and kept asking questions, but I wasn't ready to talk about it. I felt trapped between my feelings and hers, and I didn't know which way to turn. Finally, I decided I had to be honest with her. We met up again, and I told her that I didn't feel the same way. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. She was crushed, and I could see the heartbreak in her eyes. It tore me apart to hurt her like that. She said she needed space to get over her feelings, and I understood. We said goodbye, and that was it. I watched her walk away, and it felt like the end of an era. Since then, things have been quiet. My family has been tiptoeing around me, not sure what to say or do. I've been keeping to myself, trying to sort through my emotions. It's been tough, not gonna lie. And to top it all off, my brother's been acting weird. He's been super protective, almost like he's trying to make up for siding with my friend before. I appreciate it, but it's a lot to handle. So that's where I'm at. Lost a friend, gained some family support, and had my heart wrenched out in the process. It's been a roller coaster, and I'm just trying to find my footing again. Mill hates me for attending family events and not getting job in 1 month after moving to her son. I'm considering eloping with her son because she planned to wear white to our wedding. I, 35-year-old female, and my fiancé, 30-year-old male, are considering cancelling our wedding and eloping instead because of my future mother-in-law, MIL. My mother-in-law has never tried to have a positive relationship with me. She makes sure I'm not included in conversations, belittles my achievements, and talks down to me. Things escalated when I was planning my fiancé's 30th birthday. My mother-in-law fought me on every detail and accused me of not knowing my fiancé at all. I planned a golf weekend away for him and his family because he loves golf. My fiancé confronted his mother and asked why she doesn't like me. Mother-in-law admitted that she doesn't like me. She doesn't like my partner driving me to his family events, and didn't like that it took me a month to find employment when I moved to a different town to be with my fiancé. My fiancé receives calls and texts from his mother daily. If he doesn't respond, she blames me. My fiancé told her that if she doesn't stop this behavior toward me, he will no longer speak with her. I agreed to meet with my mother-in-law to smooth things over and try to move forward, but she never took me up on it. However, things seemed okay for a time. Fast forward to my fiancé's brother's wedding. On the wedding day, we were supposed to be at the venue at 4 p.m. 5 minutes before 2 p.m., my fiancé receives a call from his mother saying there is a family photo shoot in 5 minutes. We hadn't been told about a family photo shoot. My mother-in-law demands that we arrive at 2 p.m. for it. We frantically get ready and arrive at the house where the wedding was taking place. There was never a photo shoot planned. My mother-in-law comes out in her pajamas and tries to hand me suit shirts to iron. I refused. My mother-in-law snaps at me and asks where my son is. He was never coming to the wedding. He's at the hotel. Mother-in-law continues stating that everyone thought he would be there. I respond that he was never coming, and we RSVP'd just for the two of us. She has been told multiple times that he wasn't coming. The ceremony is over, and guests start coming up to me asking where my son is. I don't even know these people's names. I tell them he's at the hotel. Looks of disgust are thrown at me. My potential friends stop talking to me. I realize these people were being told that my son was at the hotel, but not informed of his age. He's a teenager. the wedding became a place of ridicule and disgust for me. On Christmas Day at my mother-in-law's house, her family scurries away from me on arrival, refusing to hug or greet me. One man, whom I had met once 2 years ago, aggressively accuses me of leaving my son alone on Christmas Day, even though he was at his father's place this year. The rumor has continued, and now not only does my mother-in-law hate me, but so does her family. I made up an excuse to announce the fact that my son is a teenager who just finished his first year of high school at the top of his class. Everyone's jaws dropped. None of them knew he is a teenager. My mother-in-law hurried out of the room. Now, my fiancé wants to cancel the wedding and elope because of my mother-in-law. My fiancé is demanding that I speak with my mother-in-law one last time in order for him to cut her off. Am I the jerk for not wanting to confront my mother-in-law and for cancelling the wedding? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but don't cancel the wedding if a wedding is what you and your fiancé want. If you do have a wedding, only invite the people that support both of you. Don't invite anyone who doesn't support both of you. If that means no mother-in-law, she'll just have to live with the consequences of her actions. Comment 2. Not the idiot elope. It will be so fun. Use the funds to go somewhere magical, get the dress of your dreams. If that's important to you, take the best photos, eat the best food, have the time of your life. If they already hate you, you've got nothing to lose. Do it. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, it's me again. I wish I could say things have gotten better since my last post, but buckle up, because this update is a doozy. After my fiancé and I discussed eloping, we decided to give it one last shot and try to mend fences with my mother-in-law. My fiancé, bless his heart, still held on to a sliver of hope that his mom would come around. So we set up a meeting at a neutral location, a little coffee shop where we first met. I was nervous, but I figured it was worth a try for the sake of my fiancé. We arrived early, and my mother-in-law walked in 20 minutes late, without even a hint of an apology. She sat down, ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, and then, without missing a beat, started in on me. She accused me of manipulating her son and trying to tear their family apart. I was stunned. I tried to keep my cool and explain that all I wanted was for us to be a family, but she wasn't having any of it. Then, she dropped a bombshell. She claimed she had proof that I was cheating on my fiancé with his best friend. My jaw hit the floor. She pulled out her phone and showed us a picture of me hugging his best friend at the brother's wedding. It was a goodbye hug, nothing more, but she was spinning it into an affair. My fiancé knew it was nonsense, but the accusations stung. The confrontation ended with my fiancé standing up for me, telling his mom that he didn't believe a word she was saying. We left the coffee shop, and I could tell he was deeply hurt. His own mother was trying to sabotage our relationship with lies, but it didn't end there. The next day, my mother-in-law sent a group text to the entire family, including the picture of me and the best friend, claiming it was evidence of my infidelity. My phone blew up with messages from family members taking sides. It was a mess. My fiancé was furious. He called his mom and told her she had crossed a line. He said if she couldn't accept me, then she wouldn't be a part of our lives. It was a tough decision for him, but he felt it was the only way to protect our relationship. In the midst of all this, my son, who's been my rock through everything, told me he overheard his grandmother talking to someone on the phone about how she planned to break us up before the wedding. He was upset and didn't want to see her again. I couldn't blame him. The day after the phone call showdown, my fiancé's brother, the one who just got married, reached out to us. He said he didn't believe the rumors and that he'd seen how his mom had been treating me. He apologized for not speaking up sooner. It was a small comfort, but it felt good to know not everyone was against us. Now, here's where karma comes in, subtly but surely. My mother-in-law's sister, who had always been kind to me, accidentally let slip to my fiancé that their mother had been planning to wear white to our wedding. Yes, white! The audacity! When my fiancé confronted her about it, she tried to play it off as a misunderstanding, but the damage was done. The family started to see her true colors. As for the wedding, we're back to square one. We're seriously considering eloping, just the two of us and my son. It's not what we initially wanted, but it's becoming clear that it might be the best way to avoid any more drama. Tom got a vasectomy, but now a woman shows up pregnant with his baby, and she demands to see him. Oh boy. Current living situation. I, 39-year-old female, live in a house with Tom, 40-year-old male, Ben, 43-year-old male, and our 5 children. A 12-year-old boy, an 11-year-old boy, biological child of Tom and mine, a 10-year-old girl, an 8-year-old girl, biological children of Ben and his late wife Anna, and a 7-year-old girl, biological child of Ben and mine. Ben and I work. Tom has been a stay-at-home dad since our 11-month-old was 2. He went back to school 4 years ago. Ben and I cover all household expenses, including any costs for Tom's education. Background: Tom and I met at a party when we were 19. We've been friends ever since, occasionally with benefits when we were both single. While on a holiday together, a condom broke. Due to our location, emergency contraception wasn't available, and when I turned out to be pregnant, we chose to keep the child and moved in together. We were never a couple, but worked great as a family, so we decided to have a second child. Anna was my childhood best friend. She and Ben moved into the flat downstairs from ours when she was pregnant with our 10-year-old daughter. I loved having her close again after living in different cities for years. Sadly, she passed away after a very complicated second labor. Ben and I found solace in each other, and I ended up pregnant. I didn't notice right away, as my method of contraception should have been safe, and I also blamed a lot of the symptoms on grief and guilt. So, when I found out, there wasn't really an alternative anymore. Tom was the first one I told. He said he'd welcome another child into our family. Ben was shocked and really struggled to accept it, but we kept in good contact through all of it. We all started having dinner most nights after our 7-year-old daughter was born. Our 10-year-old daughter and 8-year-old daughter would already spend the day with Tom as their nanny. A couple of years later, my grandma moved into a retirement home, and Tom and I decided to move into her house. Ben asked if he could move in with us, and we agreed. It's maybe unusual, but works for us. Where I might be, the AH, Tom has been with Bia for the last 3 years. There was some talk about him asking her to move in about a year ago, but he never did. Bia and I get along, not best friends, but I like spending time with her. Well, liked. She showed up unannounced 3 days ago and demanded to see Tom. He's currently on a skiing trip with Ben and the boys. I reminded her of that and then said I will tell him to contact her if there's an emergency. She then proceeds to tell me that she is pregnant with Tom's child, highly unlikely, and that she already talked to his parents and they will buy them a house next to theirs so that they can live there as a family, and that they will be taking the boys with them. That's when I told her to leave, which, after some yelling and insults, she did. I've since been called multiple times by her best friend, and Tom's parents to try and get his contact, but I'm still refusing to give it away. They've been calling me an AH among other names for not letting him know that 1, BA is pregnant, and 2, he doesn't need to be abused and exploited anymore. Edit to add: 1, Tom has had a vasectomy after our 11-month-old child. 2, he's very low contact with his parents as they disapprove of me and our overall living arrangements. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I see a lot of comments that seem to be passing judgment on your relationship status, but, as it seems consensual, you do you. For not giving out contact information to someone who didn't already have it, and thus likely didn't have the consent to contact on this trip, I say, not the idiot. Let him take his trip. There isn't a lot he can do about it from there anyway, and a stay-at-home parent needs a damn break. He can come home and tend to the mess in person. Good luck. If her pregnancy claim is true, it's probably going to be messier before it gets better. Comment 2. So Bia told Tom's parents and knew that she's pregnant before telling Tom, and already has a plan for where they'll live and how child custody will be arranged, also without input from Tom. And she presumably only found out about the pregnancy after they left on the ski trip. That's insane. Now maybe pregnancy hormones are really messing up her mental state, but this all seems rather calculated. Any chance she was hoping to provoke a fight and waited until there would be no witnesses. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. I never expected so much feedback. So, it's been 3 months since the whole Bia situation exploded, and boy, do I have updates for you. First off, let's talk about Tom's vasectomy. Remember how I mentioned that? Well, it turns out that it might not have been as foolproof as we thought. After Tom got back from his skiing trip, he confronted Bia, and she insisted the baby was his. Tom was skeptical, given his procedure, but he agreed to a paternity test just to clear the air. The results? They're not back yet, but the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Now, onto the living situation. Ben and I have been covering all the household expenses, including Tom's education costs, but with Bia's bombshell, Tom's parents have suddenly taken an interest in his life again. They've been calling non-stop, trying to convince him to move out and start a new life with Bia and their supposed baby. Tom's been torn because he's always wanted his parents' approval, but he's also committed to our unconventional family. The kids have been picking up on the stress, especially our 11-year-old son. He overheard a conversation between Tom and his parents and got really upset. He's been asking if his dad is going to leave us, and it's heartbreaking to see him so worried. We've all been trying to reassure him, but the uncertainty is hard on everyone. As for Bia, she's been parading around town, showing off her baby bump and telling anyone who will listen about her plans to move in next to Tom's parents. She's even started decorating the nursery in the house they're supposedly buying. It's like she's living in a fantasy world, and it's causing a lot of whispers in our community. But here's the kicker. Bea's best friend, the one who was calling me names along with Bea and Tom's parents, reached out to me last week. She was crying, saying she couldn't keep up the charade anymore. According to her, Bea's been lying about the whole pregnancy. She's not actually expecting Tom's baby, or any baby for that matter. She's been wearing a fake belly. I was floored. I didn't know what to believe. But before I could confront Bea, she showed up at our house, unannounced again, and this time she was furious. She accused me of trying to steal Tom away from her and said that I was the reason his parents disapproved of him. It was a full-blown shouting match on the front lawn, and our neighbors definitely got an earful. Tom came out during the commotion, and Bea turned her wrath on him. She demanded he choose between her and our family. Tom was stunned, and he didn't say anything at first. That silence spoke volumes to Bea, and she stormed off, screaming that it wasn't over. Since then, Tom's been a mess. He's questioning everything, from his vasectomy to his relationship with Bea to his place in our family. Ben's been trying to support him, but there's an unspoken tension between them now. It's like they're both waiting for the other shoe to drop. And me? I'm just trying to keep our family together. I've been working extra hours to distract myself from the chaos at home. The kids are my priority, and I'm doing everything I can to maintain some normalcy for them. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.